Welcome back to American Agenda. I'm Bob Sellers, along with Heather Childers. NBA star LeBron James taken to Twitter yesterday to tweet out against the shooting of a teenage girl who had a knife and was attacking another teenage girl in Columbus, Ohio. Now, he posted the photo of the cop with his face exposed, saying, "You're next," hashtag accountability. Soon deleted the tweet, but only after people called him out for inciting violence. For instance, Megyn Kelly firing back, saying, "How dare you? This is disgusting and dangerous. He saved the life of a young black woman under attack. This is incredibly irresponsible." This coming as ratings for NBA have been dropping to new lows since last year. So when will athletes keep out of politics and let fans just enjoy the games? I mean, this is just one of many political topics, Stacey, that we're seeing. I mean, this is really an extreme example. LeBron James grabbing onto this and making political immediately, playing judge and jury, by the way, in this case. But we wanted to actually focus in this conversation on what are these athletes doing? What is sports? What happened to the time when I could go to the game and think about hits, runs, home runs, and not have to think politics?
Well, Bob, you mentioned the historic ratings lows that the NBA is experiencing.
Yep.
And I have to tell you, the commissioner of the NBA, or whatever he's called, he actually made a statement in a piece that I read a couple of days ago about how he thought that with them eschewing politics this season, the ratings would bounce back. And he said that last fall. It turns out the ratings have cratered even further, with normal primetime television shows having greater ratings than the NBA's games, which is unheard of. They used to be a ratings dominator with like sometimes twice the viewership of the top rated television show that they'd be up against. So this is a real blow for them. But then again, it's not, because you know what, Bob? Their true market is in China. Their biggest deals that they're signing right now are with Chinese companies and with Chinese markets over there in that country, where they're going to be showing games and playing games and et cetera. So they're still here in America, but the market saturation is complete. And you can tell that they don't care, because they refuse to speak out against it's just genocide against the Uyghurs and other things that you would normally think someone as socially conscious as LeBron James would be against: slavery, gang rapes, and harvesting of organs of people who practice a religion that the Chinese CCP does not approve of. But he's saying nothing about them. So all of his statements about who's dying ring really hollow to me. He said nothing about the 7-year-old girl shot to death in the drive-thru of the McDonald's in Atlanta it was like a few days ago. He said nothing about her. So it really doesn't matter who's killed. What matters is who did the killing. He's really concerned with violence, quote unquote, perpetrated by police officers. And that's just a bad way for him to express himself.
I forget if it was last year or the year before, Heather. Actually, LeBron James was trying to tell people to tone down the criticism of China, trying to stay out of politics. He said we have to think about what we're saying, because, like Stacey was saying, they make billions of dollars from China. And for a while, China put them on ice, the NBA, until they worked that out. Suddenly, politically, it didn't help him to make a comment there, I guess.
Right, and one would wonder how this is helping him. But and I did want to bring this up, because not only did he delete his tweet, he did then come back and double down on what he said, saying, amongst other things, it's not about one officer, it's about the entire system, and they always use our words to create more racism. I'm so desperate for more accountability. And then ends it with saying, my anger still is here for what happened to that little girl, my sympathy for her family, and may justice prevail. And that speaks to what Stacey was just talking about. No real indication of concern for the other teenage girl who possibly could have been killed in this incident by the other teenage girl, who unfortunately did end up killed, but had a knife and was, going after this other girl. So the officer saved her life.
Or how about justice for the police officer who's put in that position because this girl, 16-year-old, attacking another girl with a knife that could have killed the other girl? Andrea, your thoughts?
Well, my thought is this what they meant by when they said that the Chauvin verdict wasn't going to be enough? Is this what they meant, that now somebody, a person of color, should be allowed to stab somebody else to death and the police aren't allowed to intervene? That's absolutely shocking to me. Nobody's asked LeBron James, what do you think a cop is supposed to do? Or what do you want a police officer to do if he rolls up and somebody's trying to stab one of your children to death? This is absolutely outrageous. It's funny he should use the word accountability in a tweet, and then he turns right around and deletes it, right, to try to avoid accountability. Then he claimed that he was a victim of it. Which is so perfect in line with Black Lives Matter, the movement, right? It's a Marxist movement that uses victimhood for power. They don't care about Black lives. He didn't care about the life of that 16-year-old. He didn't care about the life of the one that was almost stabbed to death. All they care about is power and using this falsehood for power. And that's what it's ultimately all about.
Yeah, and Dennis, what would have happened if this officer came up on the scene and that girl had stabbed the other girl to death? Then the criticism would have been, what good are the cops? You call 911 and they don't help.
Yeah, exactly. And this white police officer didn't get involved. This is what we're doing. We're watching celebrities and athletes become self-appointed chief justices in their own personal court of public opinion. Unfortunately, in those courts is a fundamental denial of due process. They need to stay out of this. What if, for example, if he had stayed back and let them attack themselves? That would have been a dereliction of his duty. But what if he had been black and he had performed the act that was performed by the white police officer? Would LeBron James have tweeted the same thing? This has got to somehow, reason and logic have got to come back into control in one person's mind when they see these types of public social media publications.
Yeah. All right, panel, stand by.